Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Fat Loss Basics. Thanks so much for joining us today. If you're new here, welcome. If you are not new here, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate all of you who are listening. It's awesome. Don't forget to screenshot, share this, rate it, review it. It helps me get out of the ether world. Okay, so it's been an exciting little week for us here. Our daughter is the editor-in-chief for her yearbook this year for high school. It's also the 75th anniversary for them, so it's kind of a big deal. It's going to be a little bit different, I feel like, just because of that. But she got to do this really cool journalism conference in Lansing here in Michigan at Michigan State University. So I'm really excited to hear about her experiences, a little insight as to what this would look like next year without her, which I don't know if I'm liking this if she goes away, but we shall see what she does. I'll be happy either way for her, but like it's been a weird, odd week. I've also started running this week. So if you watch my Instagram, you'll see that some time ago I had an intrusive thought about becoming a runner at 42 years old. I'm not sure why I would do this, but here we are. And I suck at it. And I'm very unconditioned. And yeah, so I'm get outside of your comfort zone, do things that you suck at, and that's how you become better. Okay, so let's do a really quick recap of this mini series. If you're jumping in for the first episode, I'm doing a mini series on the identity piece of the diet dropout method and how there are kind of 6 things that we are going over. There's a couple that are like combined. This is a combined episode. So I'm hoping it's not going to be super long. Because I actually have a podcast interview after I'm done recording this, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, so we are on episode 3. This is episode 3 of I believe 6 episodes. The first episode we talked about your heart and what the heart is of this piece of the identity that you need to have. Episode 2, we talked about your pillars, the foundation piece, and everybody's pillars is going to look different. Just to be very clear here. Like our pillars built on, doing this because we love ourselves or doing this because we hate ourselves and we're trying to punish ourselves because we are fat, right? Like what is it about? And so now we're going to build on that foundation piece. And I didn't go into like specific pillars. I just want to be clear because everybody's pillars are different. Maybe I'll do a pillar episode of my own pillars, but everybody's going to look a little bit different. So we're going to build on top of that foundation piece. And now this is the next layer of how you actually show up. This is where boundaries and standards come in. This is something I'm shifting even in my current coaching containers with my clients right now is we are utilizing words like standards and boundaries. Okay. And I really want to be very clear here is that you have the heart piece where you're doing it because of your why a little bit, if you will. And then you have your pillars, this foundation that you're building your why off of, or your heart, why your heart is really in this to win this, if you will. And then the boundaries and the standards are kind of where the action takes place. This is where you just stop thinking about it and you actually start doing the things that you want to be doing, because becoming someone is about how you show up every single day. It's not about that you're already there, right? You can have the best heart, you can have the best foundation, but if you don't know how you actually show up and what you're willing to compromise on, it's going to literally crumble. You go back to that foundation, and that means your pillars are not strong. It means your heart is probably not in the right place. And this is where we separate from like, I'm trying to do this to I'm just doing it. This is just, I'm doing the thing. So let's talk about standards first. I've actually done a podcast not that long ago on goals versus standards. I don't know what episode it is. It's a while back at this point, maybe 2 months ago. So pretty far back. But let's talk about what are standards. A standard is how you show up for yourself. And these are typically non-negotiable. These are not rules. They are not restrictions. Right? This is kind of a line in the sand that you draw about who you are. So I'm somebody that is a promise keeper. I use that phrase all the time. I'm a promise keeper. I'm a promise keeper. I'm a promise keeper. I don't negotiate, right? This is somebody who's just drawing the line in the sand. I show up for myself even when I don't feel like it. That's a standard. And I want to be clear that standards are not rules. So a rule is something that you have to do. I have to track my food, versus something like a standard that I would hold somebody to is I'm someone who's tracking my food. I track my food for information. I track my food so that I can make better adjustments along as I go on this journey, right? Rules often feel like punishment. Standards feel like a little bit more like I'm choosing this versus I have to do this. Okay. And that is going to change how we think and feel about it. So every single time that you keep your word to yourself, that you are a promise keeper, this is a deposit action towards a better you. And why that matters is because anytime that you make a positive deposit, so you're putting in net energy for your overall arching goal, that already makes you a better you. You don't have to wait until you reach the goal. Oh, I'm not a fitness person until I've lost all the weight. Oh, I'm not a gym person until I lift as heavy as I hit my 1 rep max on all the things. We don't have to wait for the scale to move. We don't have to wait for the goal. We don't have to wait until we fit into XYZ. What we have to do is just show up the fuck for ourselves. That already says I am that person. You don't have to be 100% healthy to be a healthy person. Every time you take a step towards being healthier, you're being healthy. You don't have to be healthy to take action towards being healthy. It is that simple. Okay. So for instance, what this could look like is you said you'd eat the meal plan that you made and then you eat it. That's a deposit, right? You said that you were going to I need to track my food so that not I have to, but I need to, or I get to, because I want to be able to make information, logical decisions, strategic decisions in my journey. So you track your food. That's a deposit, right? You're already somebody that follows through. It's not being about perfect. It's just about holding this standard holding yourself to the standard. So you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop finding reasons or excuses that you just can't do it or that you need to quit. You stop wondering if you can just get away with it on this one time because, you just don't feel like it this moment, right? Because you already know that is not going to help you get to where you're going to go. And it's not the standard that you're going to hold for yourself. So you're not going to negotiate with it. Okay. And what I'm going to ask you to ask yourself is, are your standards for yourself the same as your standards for other? A lot of women that I come in contact with that need help here have very low standards for themselves and high standards for everybody else, right? You would never tell your best friend who's literally trying to lose weight, who's trying to get healthy, who's trying to get stronger, hey, it's fine if you just don't do it this one time. Hey, it's not a big deal. No, it's you said you were going to do this thing. Do the thing. You said you were going to do XYZ, do XYZ. This could be with relationships, with jobs. You said you were going to apply for that fucking promotion. Apply for the promotion, period. Dot, right? You would tell your friend that, but yet for some reason with you have a gap there and you're like, it's fine. Everything's fine, right? So a lot of times I have women come in and they're like, I just can't stick to anything. I just can't get consistent. I just can't stick to anything. And so I blatantly ask, do you show up for your kids' appointments? Yeah. Do you show up for work on time? Yeah. Okay, cool. Do you follow through for a friend when you say you're going to do something for them? Yeah. Okay. So what you're telling me is you can stick to things. You can be consistent. You just don't have that for yourself. You're not setting that standard for yourself. You have that standard for other people. Okay. And that is I need to show up the same way for myself as I'm showing up for everybody else. Weird, right? So making your standards for yourself as high as your standards for other people, not higher. Doesn't have to be some, we're not climbing, Mount Fuji. We're just, setting the bar at the same place. Okay. Be committed to yourself as you are to everybody else, okay? And this happens one deposit at a time. Now, when we flip this and we go, well, what are boundaries, okay? So boundaries are more about what you're willing to do or what you're not willing to do. So kind of I don't want to say morally, but kind of like this, right? Boundaries are typically specific, they're actionable, they're clear. A boundary is kind of more along the lines of a rule, if you will. I don't want to say a rule, but it's more about how you operate, how you show up. So for instance, if you set a boundary of I only eat out one time a week, or I'm only door dashing one time a week, boom. Okay. So that's the boundary. When we eat out, it has to be somewhere that I can get my complete meal. That's a boundary. I only eat dessert on the weekends. That's a boundary. If I go out to eat, I'm not going to get the appetizer because I want to have a boozy drink. That's a boundary. The standard of that boundary, I eat out one time a week, or I only eat, places that have complete meals, is then showing yourself, if I'm going to show up here, I'm going to eat a complete meal. That's your standard. You're holding so I am going out one time a week, and now you're ordering that meal that you said you were going to order the way you said you were going to order it, or you said you were going to get, or you're going to stick to the boozy drink number, or you're not going to get the appetizer and the boozy drinks. So the boundary is the decision, and the standard is the follow through of that decision. Okay. So again, boundary is I eat out once a month. The standard is when I decided to eat out this month, I do it. I don't cancel. I don't change my mind. I don't feel bad for it. I'm not going to feel guilty about it. I'm going to do this thing that I said I was going to do. And the other boundary of if we eat out, it has to be somewhere I can get a complete meal. This is a constant conversation that I have with my husband all the time. And then the standard is the follow through. When I get there, I order what I said I was going to order, and I don't negotiate trying to figure out how do I get away with, something else, ordering something else. Okay. Without a boundary, you're just kind of winging it. Without a standard, you got a boundary, but you don't have to stick to it. So this is why it needs to be both. And I want to be clear that boundaries aren't necessarily it's restriction, right? That's why it's like weird to call it like a rule. It's kind of like a rule, but not really a rule. I don't know. It's more like the boundaries, the choice that you're making, and the standard is the follow through. The choice or decision, however you want to, right? It's not that I can't, it's just how I operate. It's not the same. And so when we've made a choice and we don't follow through with that choice, then we have a problem. If we are constantly just trying to follow rules all the time with no follow through, or we're making everything have a rule, that's also where we're going to get pretty sticky. So this is how they kind of work together. Again, the boundary is going to be, I eat out one time a week. The standard is when I go out, I follow through on the meal that I decided. And now collectively with that boundary and that standard that you're holding yourself to, you become somebody that makes the decisions, holding the boundary, and keep them, the follow through. Okay. So a boundary is more what you do. The standard is how you show up. And together they become the person that you are, not the person that you're trying to be, but the person that you currently are. Because without a standard, standards without boundaries is just like, oh, I'll show up, but I don't know what I don't have a plan. I don't know what the standard I'm going to hold myself to is. And boundaries without standards, it's just like, well, I have this rule, but I don't have to follow it. Right. And that's why they're both like necessary to have. So, boundaries, like if we order takeout, it has to include vegetables. Cool. The standard is I actually eat the vegetables I said I would get. Boom. Okay. Same concept here. Now, why do women struggle with this? A lot of women have no clear boundaries. We have lots of good intentions. I'm trying. I want to. I'm really working towards, right? But the problem is that you're making a decision every single time in the moment. So there is no kind of plan for how you actually operate. It becomes like, well, I don't know. Like I'm going to go out to eat. And then you get out to eat and it's like, you see, the cheeseburger, French fries walk by. You're like, damn, that looks good. And then boom, next thing you know, you're getting cheeseburger and French fries when you actually said you were like going to get like a chicken sandwich with the side salad or something along those lines. Or you see an appetizer come out or you see whatever and you're like, change your mind, right? When we have no standards, we have boundaries, but we don't keep them. Okay, well, I'm just going to get the chicken sandwich and the side salad. And then again, you see that stuff come out and you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to go negotiate with myself. Okay. So that is hard. And the work that we have to do is making boundaries that reflect how we actually want to behave and operate, right? We have to make standards that we are actually willing to keep, not to be perfect, just to show up as this next best version of yourself. And when you have strong boundaries and standards, you don't negotiate with yourself. You don't have to feed off of willpower or discipline. You don't have to second guess. You don't have to feel restricted. And every single time you show up, you're already making that deposit in a net value of a better you, right? You don't need to worry about things. You have clarity. You know exactly what you're going to do. You feel grounded in the decisions that you're making versus constantly negotiating with yourself. Again, back to willpower. I just need to willpower myself into a better, healthier me. second guessing every fucking decision that you make, trying to decide right in the moment. Yeah, should I get the hamburger? Should I not get the hamburger? Should I get the hamburger? Should I not get the hamburger? Yeah, let's get the hamburger. Right? That is exhausting. And then you guys wonder why food noise is so bad. That is why food noise is so motherfucking bad. Okay. So kind of to wrap it all up. All right. Boundaries are what you do. Standards are how you do them. Boundaries are what you do. Standards are how you show up for yourself. Boundaries kind of create the line in the sand. The standard is how you show up to do the line in the sand. Okay. So the boundary is the decision and the standard is keeping it. And every single time that you're willing to keep the word to yourself, you're already making that deposit. So you don't have to wait for this goal or, again, hitting the scale, getting a certain number, or whatever, your cholesterol to come down. Whatever that goal is for you, we don't have to worry about those, okay? This is the unsexy work. This is the kind of the third thing that we have to tackle: boundaries and standards and holding ourselves to them. Okay. And that's where I come in as a coach. Most women, again, don't have great accountability of holding themselves to a standard because they don't hold themselves to the standard. They either never have, they were never taught how, or it's just not a priority in their life, even though they want it to be a priority. Okay. So this is end of mini episode number 3. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you are getting something from my podcast, I would love for you to screenshot, share, rate, review, give it to a friend, have somebody listen to it. I would really, 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 really be eternally grateful for that. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. Get some fresh air, get some movement in, go on a walk, hold your boundary, figure out how you're showing up for it. Okay. Get that together. All right, guys, I will talk to you on the next episode.